Today we're watching a video by Joe Rogan and Gad Saad about the Palestinian conflict. Let's get started.
It is an existential affront that the Jewish state exists in the Middle East. So look at all other religious minorities across Arabia. Egypt used to be completely Coptic Christian, 100%, many hundred years ago. Today, there are 10% Copts left. What happened to those Copts? There used to be tons of Christians in Syria. What happened to those Syrians?
They were colonized.
There used to be tons of Christians in Lebanon. There still are some, about 35%, but Lebanon used to be a majority Christian country. So the goal of Islam, not individual Muslims, right? Again, I don't need to preface by saying there are millions and millions of lovely, kind, peaceful Muslims. Of course there is. But Islam as an ideology, does it tolerate others? Well, we have 1,400 years of history that either says it does or it doesn't, right? We don't have to watch TikTok videos. And nothing could be clearer than what the words of Muhammad were, the prophet of Islam, who said that you need to rid Arabia of Christians, but certainly the Jews. So the existence of the land of Israel is an affront to that. One more point, and I'll cede the floor back to you.
You're also supposed to fight those who don't believe in Allah nor the last day and the Prophet Muhammad. Jews don't believe in Prophet Muhammad, and Jews don't believe in Islam. Therefore, they should be fought, and they should be fought until they pay the jizya, until they submit and pay the jizya. Back in Islamic times, during the 7th century, Jews and Christians were not allowed to ride a horse, only a donkey. Jews and Christians were supposed to go to the other side of the street if a Muslim came in front of them, so they don't contaminate him. So there's no tolerance in Islam towards other people.
In Islam, there's a concept called Dar al-Islam and Dar al-Harb. That means the house of Islam and the house of war. Anything that's under the Islamic control is good. Anything that's yet to be under Islamic control is under the house of war. Once a territory is under Islamic control and you lose it, you have to get it back. It is your dominion forever. This is why, for example, Andalusia, which was at one point controlled, which is in current Spain, which was controlled by the Moors, an Islamic conquistador, a lot of jihadists will say, inshallah, we have to reconquer Andalusia. It is our land, because once it's under... So Israel existentially cannot exist. So why am I saying all this? You can't have peace if you have the other side that truly never wants for you to exist. That's the bottom line. If you can change people's heart where they say, look, I get a piece of land, you get another piece, let's build an incredible, vibrant co-society together, you'd have peace. But if you're taught from straight out of the womb that the Jews is the reason for every calamity in the world, you're not going to have peace.
When the Islamic Caliphate started to do conquests and expand throughout the Middle East and North Africa, Umar, the second Khalifa, who entered the land of Palestine, the region of Palestine, that was the name under the Romans. That's what the Romans called it, and it stuck until the Jews reconquered it and renamed it Israel. From the moment Umar touched that land and conquered it, that is, according to Islam, Muslim land, and has to be taken back. Exactly what he said about Andalusia or Spain, that is still considered to be Muslim land, and that's why it has to be regained. So until Islam doesn't take control of this Jewish land, this Jewish region, they're not going to stop.
But don't you think that there are Jews and there are Israelis that treat Palestinians as if they're less?
There is that in Texas in terms of treating people who are Hispanic. The darkness of the human heart is not monopolized by one group. There are super nasty Jews and there are incredibly lovely and kind Jews. There are super nice Muslims and incredibly brutal Muslims. So there is no monopoly on the darkness of the human heart. So I concede that. Of course, there are Jews that are not very keen on having Palestinian neighbors. But as someone who grew up in the two worlds, right, I'm an Arabic-speaking Jew. I hang around with tons of Muslims. I hang around with tons of Jews. Have I ever heard somebody in my Jewish family say, oh God, I can't wait for us to eradicate the 1.52 billion Muslims in the world? I've never heard that. Have I heard incessantly all the time about, inshallah, we'll get rid of the Jews? Every second. You just have to say, hi, Ahmad. The next line is, God damn it, we got to get rid of the Jews. Now, it's become a lot.
Is it really that common where you are?
It's as common as the heat in Texas. It is definitional. As a matter of fact, I introduced a game, I mean facetiously, but I mean it seriously, 6 Degrees of Jew. So that's a play on 6 degrees of...
Kevin Bacon.
Exactly. So I give you a calamity in the world, and you've got up to 6 causal steps to blame the Jew. So an Amazonian frog just died in the Amazon. Go. And so I will post these on Twitter, and people give answers.
Right.
Now, oftentimes they're just playing along, but that's the mindset. You got diabetes? Well, that's because the Jews who are controlling the pharmaceutical industry are not releasing the drug. I'll give you a recent one that I faced.
Okay.
So I put up a police lineup of some guys that had been caught in Huddersfield, which is a town in England, who had been grooming and raping young British white girls. And you may or may not know this. I'm not sure if we've discussed it in the past. In Britain, over the past 25 years, there's been an unbelievable industrial scale level grooming and raping of young white girls by Asian men. That's a euphemism for men of a certain religious heritage, but you say they're Asian. So their names are, let me summarize them for you. Muhammad, Ahmad, Muhammad, Ahmad, Muhammad, 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 Ahmad, Ahmad, Muhammad, Ahmad, Ahmad, Muhammad, Ahmad, Muhammad. Okay? So I put those up and I sarcastically said, I don't have a big enough brain to do the big data analytics to understand what is the commonality across all those gentlemen. Could anybody help me? Do you know how many people wrote to me and blamed it on the Jews? Not facetiously. So now I'm going to ask you, Joe.
How?
I was just going to ask you that. How is it when 3 Muhammads rape your 12-year-old British girl, you blame it on Mordechai? 3 Muhammads lead to Mordechai. Tell me how. You tell me.
I don't know. How do they do it?
Who let them in? It's the Jewish cabal who controls immigration policy. It's George Soros, the Jew, who controls the open society ideology.
I don't think you could really just connect George Soros to Jewish if you look at his policies. He seems anti-Western civilization.
I agree, but for the Jew hater...
They tried to blame everything on the Jews. They tried to blame 9/11 on the Jews with weird theories that they were dancing Israelis, that they were the Mossad, which doesn't make any sense because why would the most secretive organization in the world just dance after getting 2 buildings to drop? It makes no sense, but they'll try to connect everything to the Jews. One guy even told me that the Munich terror attack, where an Olympic delegation who came from Israel that were murdered by Muslims, by Palestinians, even then they blame the Jews. They say the Jews did this, not the Muslims. Everything is blamed on the Jews. Appalling.
Any causal explanation.
So one individual who just happens to be Jewish.
Or they point to some other one. There's one, I don't even know who she is. I think Barbara Lerner or something. Somebody will correct us in the comments section where they show her saying something, oh, we need to flood, and she happens to be Jewish. But for every Jewish person who is pro-open door policy, there's a counter-Jewish person. Here's one who is not for open border policies, right? Stephen Miller, who worked in the Trump administration, is Jewish. He's probably the biggest anti-open door immigration. So, but that's the mindset of the Jew hater. Everything is blamed. There's this incredible diabolical feature of the Jew that they're able to at times pretend that they're victims, but really they're diabolical and genocidal. It's grotesque, man.
It's weird.
I've had a conversation not too long ago about the Muslims in the UK and what's happening there with the people seeking asylum and how they're treated in British jails and how native British people are treated in British jails. And you'll see that the asylums are treated a lot better than the Brits. Yeah, the fact that people are trying to blame everything on the Jews is absolutely hysterical. We're 0.2 from the population, 0.2% of the population, and everything is blamed on the Jews. Everything. Being blamed for everything and being hated by many people. actually makes the Jewish community stronger and more powerful and connected, wanting to help one another. It's just helping us. It's fuel. And the more you do it, the stronger we get. The more you do it, the more connected we get. And it goes against what you try to do. You try to eradicate us, yet we become stronger, we become a better community, and we help one another. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to the video. To the channel, not to the video. Until next time, see you.
Sahar TV, bringing fire to the beat. Official Sahar TV.